also started experiencing some disinformation campaign in a very serious way, and also cognitive warfare, economic coercion, things like that. And it's causing us some trouble. Toward the beginning of August, they used the pretext of Speaker Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. They mounted a large-scale military exercise against Taiwan. Other than firing 11 missiles at waters near Taiwan, they also assembled a large number of airplanes and ships to conduct air and sea exercises around Taiwan. And they also engaged in cyber attack, and our ministry was taken down for a moment. And they also engaged in very serious disinformation campaign and economic coercion. So altogether, they seem to be practicing their war games in order to invade Taiwan in the future. So this is something we can this is something which could occur. That force against Taiwan. And if you listen to the very senior leaders of the Chinese party speaking in international organizations, they are using one particular UN resolution indicating that Taiwan is China's. For no other country matter China's use of force. It seems that China is using all this to legitimize its use of force against Taiwan. And to us, it's very concerning. Very concerning in the fact that China is trying to pull all kinds of factors together for a future possible invasion against Taiwan.
Did the invasion in Ukraine from Russia change also the perception of the on this? Did it change the
life to the Taiwanese people? And the Taiwanese people watched